sector. And now is before starting the financial session, I will introduce you the next speaker with a bit broader interest area, not just the shipping, but is Mr. Marco de Panta of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He's the Principal Director for Migration Issues. And he will speak to us about the Italian migration policy after the Lampedusa tragedy and Italian and EU outlook. Mr. De Panta is also in charge of the preparation of many of the dossier of the Italian presidency, the semester of presidents of the European Union. Last night we were discussing with John Liras about the very activism of Italy in implementing certain environmental regulations. I don't know, perhaps afterwards we may have a chat about this. Just an information, we have some cars outside, so if there is anybody who has to leave at a certain stage this proceedings, if it comes to me or some of my team members, it could be accompanied to the railway station, to the airport, or wherever he has to go. After this, there will be a change of some of the speaker and the other chairman of the financial session, which some humor called "follow the money," will sit at my place on this speakers and chairman table. I think there are two speakers that could also come, and I think that the panel will be held from these first two rows with the table microphones. Perhaps invite also Maurizio to open the speeches from here if he likes. Mr. Del Panta, please, I leave you the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you for inviting me here. It's an environment, it's an audience I'm not used to. I must say there's a very friendly atmosphere, which is very pleasant for all of us. So thank you again for inviting me here, not only for the beautiful premises. I will be very short. First of all, because Dr. Lauro asked me to, but also because I must say that General Camporini gave you already the main message I wanted to convey, which is the following. What happens in the Horn of Africa, I'm mentioning this area for the reasons I will tell you, but this could apply also to other areas, matters to all of us Italian European citizens. And this is the main conclusion I wanted to come to, and he already pointed this out. But let me very briefly elaborate on this. Since I'm speaking to this audience, what came to my mind when I was invited here is to, let's say, welcome the role that the shipping companies have in search and rescue activities at sea. You know that there are some international conventions which foresee that when ships find some other ships in distress in the sea, they are obliged to help them and to try to rescue them. And this is what many shipping companies face on a daily basis. You know it better than me. It's something that has been performed until now. It's something which is costly, I believe, and it's something that we should look into, or governments, the European Union. It's an important operation and contribution that the private sector gives to this kind of operation. When you speak about rescuing people at sea, you think about the Mediterranean. But if you think of the Mediterranean now, all this has almost stopped. It has stopped because Italy decided a year ago, after the tragedy in Lampedusa, to launch a search and rescue operation which is very close to the Libyan shores. What we're doing now, what the Navy, the Italian Navy is doing, is going and help these boats full of migrants coming from many places, mainly Africa and the Middle East, is to go and rescue them. And we take them to Sicily, and then there's a reception system that looks after them. This has created a situation in which all search and rescue operations done by private ships or by coast guards are practically interrupted. If you go to Lampedusa now, you will see nobody. You see nobody because we go and take them near the Libyan shores. You know what Mare Nostrum is. I don't need to elaborate. Just to give you some figures, I think that thanks to this operation, we could rescue something like 100,000 people, so it's not negligible. It is also a very costly operation because it costs around 9.5 million a month. So you can imagine what kind of engagement the Italian government has taken since almost a year. What are we going to do with this operation? Well, first of all, you have to know that this operation was not welcome. Inside the European Union, there was some criticism about it. I'm not going to elaborate very much on this because it's national position of other partner countries, but I mean, let me just tell you that it was not welcome at all. What we try to do since a number of months is to say that this cannot remain an Italian operation. Since the beginning, this operation was open to other contributions. I must say we had very little. There was one Slovenian ship put at our disposal with an offer of collaboration from Malta. But so we thought that this should become a European operation. We start to see some evolution on this. You have read in the newspapers that now there's a debate about an eventual Frontex Plus operation, which is something different. It's not a search and rescue operation, but it's a Coast Guard operation, much closer to the European border. So it's very different. It's not a search and rescue operation. But still, I mean, that will imply a stronger European role in this. If this takes place, and if Italy will decide, I don't know, because it's our political masters who will have to decide to discontinue Mare Nostrum, then search and rescue operation will be necessary again. This is something to be kept in mind, because thanks to Mare Nostrum, as I said before, we go and rescue ships very close to the Libyan shores. An eventual Frontex Plus operation will take place much more north. So the situation before Mare Nostrum, not entirely, but might occur again. Why did the Italian government decide to enter such an operation? We have a very peculiar situation. We're not the only southern European country, of course. There's Greece, there's Spain. But we are the only one who has some characteristic. South of Italy, there is Libya. In this situation, as you can imagine, you cannot cooperate with Libya. You cannot ask them to cooperate in the management of migration flows. You cannot ask them to try to find alternatives to migration to the many sub-Saharan Africans who arrive in that country. You cannot ask them. They have other priorities. They cannot do it. A second characteristic is that you cannot push back migrants. I'm not speaking about asylum seekers, not even migrants. You cannot send them back to Libya. You cannot. And we don't want to do it because the respect for human rights in that country is not guaranteed. Our Greek colleagues, they can do it. They can eventually push back people to Turkey. Our Spanish friends, they can do it in Morocco, but we cannot. So this is another peculiar situation. What to do in this situation? I mean, this phenomenon could explode. We say that in the medium term, migration from Africa to Europe will develop very much because we are an aging continent. In Africa, there's a very young population. All demographic projections foresee a big increase in the migration because Africa is the only continent which is continuing to grow demographically. So what to do in this situation? We believe, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that we have to do something around Libya. When I came here from the station, the daughter of Mr. Lauro Di Letta, she asked me, you are from the Foreign Ministry, but what do you have, what is the role of Foreign Ministry in migration policy? Well, our role is to do something similar to what I'm telling you. What we are planning to do is to build up, I'm not speaking about a safety belt, because this is a bad expression, but an area of cooperation around Libya for the management of migration flow. Around Libya, there are many transit countries and there are many origin countries, mainly in the Horn of Africa. That's where most of migrants come from. So what we have to do is to build an area of cooperation with those countries using EU funds to guarantee an alternative to migration to Europe, to inform everybody about the dangers of irregular migration to Europe, to try to find alternatives, maybe training, or even in the fight against irregular migration is very much, it's very important to crash on the organization that organize the trafficking of human beings. So we have to do all these things with those countries. And we noticed almost a year ago that Europe, the European Union, was looking at Africa in a very strange way, because there's a dialogue with the whole of Africa, there's a dialogue between the European Union and Western Africa, the so-called Rabat process, but there was nothing for Eastern Africa. And Eastern Africa is where migrants come from. Eastern Africa is a part of Africa where Italy has strong relations for historical reasons. So we said, why not launching a dialogue with these countries, using the European Union and its financial instruments, and using also the old relations that Italy still has with all these countries. That's why we launched a process that we are calling for the moment Khartoum process from the capital of Sudan. There will be a meeting next week in Khartoum to discuss with these countries. And then it's a preparatory meeting, and then the event to launch this dialogue will be at the end of November in Rome. There will be a ministerial meeting launching this Khartoum process, which, as I said, is something that we do because in the medium term, this is the only thing we can do. In the short term, it will not guarantee that flows will lower. No, we don't expect this. But we have to start working in the medium and long term. It's not going to help in the next months, but somebody had to begin to do something with these countries because nothing was being done. So this is an initiative of the Italian presidency that I hope it will be helpful. And I hope, as General Camporini said at the beginning, that what we're doing with this country will influence in the middle term also the practical life of everybody in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you.